Hello everybody, this is Temporal Enigma and welcome back. It's been a while. I'd like to apologize if things sound different or you hear some things in the background. I am not at my usual setup and I won't be for a while. I'm in my college apartment and I don't really have the ability to give a perfect setup like I have at home. So please bear with me. Today we'll be talking about my thoughts on the Battlefield 5 beta and the game as a whole, if the beta is any representation of the final game. I'm going to be doing a good, bad, and ugly style this time, and I know a couple other YouTubers have done it before, so I'm just going to throw my hat in that ring for this video, because I think it's the best way for me to sort of describe to you what I see as this game, because I was really excited for Battlefield 5, and in some aspects I still am, but after playing this beta, if this is what the game's gonna be, I don't want it, because it's not fun, it is frustrating. And while I do believe that DICE will make changes, I don't know if they have enough time to make the changes necessary to make this game balanced and fun to play, even if the game's been pushed back another month. But before we get into all that, let's start off with the good things. So these are the pros, these are the things that I like and that are very good about the game. First and foremost is the game looks fantastic. It's probably one of the best looking shooter games on the market right now, and it's definitely the best looking Battlefield game. The reflections and the way the set pieces look and the design of the guns and the vehicles and all of that makes for a really great experience. The water, mwah, fantastic, 10 out of 10 IGN. Alongside that, the animations are also very good. There's now animations for getting in and out of vehicles. So unlike Battlefield 1, where guys would just bail out of a vehicle right before you killed it, there is now an animation to have to get out of vehicles, giving you that extra opportunity. It also gives you a second if you're getting out of the vehicle to kind of survey the area before you start running again. Both of these lead to a real sense of immersion in this game. I do really like the immersion. All the things that were discussed when this game was coming out, as far as the way explosions work and snow falling off of buildings and tanks ripping through buildings, all of that is very much in this game, and it is extremely cool to witness that. My cousin and I were playing a game and there was a guy camping in an attic, so we just blew up the building on him, and then the building collapsed on us while we were trying to kill him, and we had a great laugh about it. It was fun, and those kind of tactics are very possible in this game. Even more so than previous Battlefield games. And finally, the big thing I want to talk about is the Grand Operations mode. This mode is awesome. I really liked Operations from Battlefield 1, but I did feel that over time, doing the same thing over and over, just capturing an objective, did get old and quite frustrating, and, it just kind of got boring. Grand Operations gives you the ability to go across a several-day campaign, completing different objectives each time, and it just adds something new and fresh. On top of that, the intro for this Grand Operation is phenomenal, where you're sitting in the middle of the plane and the guy's talking to you and you get to jump out of the plane on your own. That is amazing. It really adds to the immersion and everything that this game is really built upon, and something that Battlefield has been built upon throughout its entire history. So I kind of rushed through the good things because they were kind of all connected. I now want to take the time to discuss the cons. The bad things. Now, bad means I dislike them, but they're not game-ending. They're just things that are like, if I could, I'd change them, but it's not really going to ruin the experience for me. It's something that just, I feel needs to be tweaked or adjusted, or I would change given the opportunity. The first thing is the bipod system. In Battlefield 1, if you laid down, you would deploy a bipod if you had it at the end of the gun, and you could mount up your weapon. If you were standing near a wall, it would automatically deploy the bipod. Battlefield 5 tries to do this thing where it constantly deploys the bipod for you and tries to predict when you want to use the bipod, which leads to all these really jarring animations of, like, you crouch behind cover trying to point at an enemy, and instead of shooting, your guy first takes a second to flip the bipod out and mount it up. Or you're getting shot, so you try to duck behind a wall, and you gotta wait for your guy to pull in the bipod first. It's really jarring, and it really just disrupts the flow of gameplay there. I really think there needs to be either better context to it, less animation, or let us manually deploy the bipod, give some sort of little indicator so that we can flip the bipod out and know when, to use it, instead of that animation that's just automatic. The next thing for me is the ammo count mechanic. So in Battlefield 1, you start with less ammo, and you have to resupply yourself along the way by either picking up new ammo off of dead enemies, being given it to it by support, or picking them up at resupply caches. I don't mind this mechanic at all, actually. I think it's kind of a cool mechanic. It prevents camping and gives kind of more danger to what you do. It brings people together and really wants you to build a squad. The issue is that there seems to be no ammo. An assault player, for example, only has one extra magazine, and the support player only has one extra magazine. Sure, they have more ammo, but it's very easy to run out of ammo, and if you're trying to push an objective, you constantly have to stop to resupply. The one thing I really think they need to do is they need to add just a little bit more, maybe give us 2 or 3 mags to use, and then allow us to roll with that instead of such a small amount. This is something that, like I said, it's a problem, but I think DICE will tweak this. This isn't an issue that's really prevalent. It's something that I think will be tweaked before the final game comes out. The next big thing is planes have absolutely no use whatsoever. Level Cap did a really great video on this. Hopefully I'll remember to link it in the description. Part of his response video. I don't play a lot in planes. I'm not a very good pilot. I prefer to be a gunner if I'm in planes at all. But I definitely totally forgot there were even planes available on one of the maps because they do absolutely nothing to integrate with ground troops. There's no anti-air weapons, really. Maybe some of the tanks have them. I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you. And they just don't seem to do anything. In Battlefield 3 and 4, we saw planes kind of fit in a different role, with helicopters being more focused on ground combat and planes being more focused on taking out the helicopters. But, especially in Battlefield 3 and 4, everybody had a rocket launcher on them, essentially. So taking out planes was much easier. Plus, you had, large-scale bombers and many other things to fight with. Battlefield 1 took this to the next level by really elevating plane combat, saying, okay, we're now going to have planes fight everybody. And everybody can fight planes, eventually buffing players to fight planes further and changing things up a bit and adding some weapons that are better catered to fighting planes. In this game, they don't seem to do anything. There was actually, Level Cap made a point that one of the planes seems to be better than the other one, even though they fit in the same class. The German plane, I believe, is better than the British plane. Even though they are the same class of plane, they don't do anything against each other. The one plane dominates and the other one doesn't do anything. And neither of them seem to fight infantry very well. So I don't know if there's something that needs to be changed, or if this is something that just is a product of the beta, that maybe some things weren't available to us and we'll see where some things fit in better roles. But planes have absolutely no purpose in this game, at least not that they should. The default keybinds for healing and giving out health and ammo, on PC at least, are trash. So a traditional keyboard setup is use WSAD to move around, and you use the number keys to switch gadgets. I'm totally okay with this. Battlefield 1 implemented the ability to throw ammo and health packs to players if you had them equipped. This was done by pressing Q, which is normally the spot button, or was the spot button in Battlefield 1. This was a fine implementation. You look at an enemy and you throw a health pack at them by just pushing a button that's right there next to your walk button and right within your little mode of keys that you're going to be pressing. Now in Battlefield 5, the medic automatically has a throwable health pack and the support automatically has a throwable ammo pack. I actually really like this. They also have the ability to throw down bags that you can pick up health and ammo from, but that's beside the point. The issue is that this is counted as a gadget that you have to switch to, but you can't actually switch to it and throw it on the ground. You can only throw it at people, which means in order to throw it at people, you have to smash the 3 key on your number bar. This is annoying and is really garbage. To try to find the 3 key in the middle of a battle when it's not something that you're used to just finding without looking is really jarring. I've died a lot because I've been trying to like push 3 and I'll press E or 2 instead because I'm not looking for 3. And, you know, I'm trying to throw ammo at my teammate and nothing's happening. This is something that's a huge issue, but at least I can rebind that key, and I haven't done it yet, but I've been thinking about rebinding it to F since I have melee rebound anyway. The same is a problem for health. You have to throw things. The bigger issue is that there is a self-heal mechanic in the game. I can pick up a med pack and I can heal myself whenever I want. This is dictated by the 5 key, which is so far away from your WSAD that you're literally stretching halfway across the keyboard. And if you do this, it compromises your ability to move in-game. So if you're trying to heal, you have to push 5. But you can't just push 5, you have to hold 5. So this keybind is just really bad. I'm not sure what it is on Xbox, although I have a feeling it's a D-pad button, which would make life infinitely easier on a controller versus a keyboard. This needs to be changed. Like, they need to find better keybinds than the number keys for that. I think they need to go back to throw ammo with Q, especially since Q doesn't do anything anymore. Well, it does, but we'll get into that later. And maybe at least put heal on 3 instead of health and ammo. This one I think is a bit of a bug. There are objective outlines in the game, kind of like how we saw in Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 1, telling you when you're within the range of an objective. But they don't seem to line up with the in-game actual outlines. You'll walk into an outline and nothing will happen. You walk a little bit farther, then it'll say you're contesting. I think it's probably just a bug, but that was pretty annoying. For a while, I didn't even think there were any outlines because they were kind of hard to see, and since they weren't lined up, I just assumed there weren't any. So, not a huge deal, but I think it's definitely a bug and will probably be patched. Vehicles. Vehicles are a huge, weird thing in this game. And they're a two-sided coin. On the one hand, they are extremely cool. They look cool and they play cool. I think it is awesome that tanks do not have unlimited ammo, that they have to be resupplied or fall back to resupply. I think that allows for strategic pushes and retreats. You know, push up with a tank and then the tank gets, you know, defeated or runs out of ammo, so the tank needs to withdraw along with the team. It also just keeps tanks from camping forever. The ability to hook up and drag supply drops and other things is really, really cool. I think it's awesome. We were joking around with hooking up a field gun to a motorcycle and trying to shoot people with it, and it didn't work, but it was super fun. That is also really cool. I can move a field gun or a supply drop from one place to another. I can bring my team ammo in the front lines. Except vehicles are absolutely useless against players. At least tanks are. At least tanks are as a driver. So I was in a tank yesterday, and you'll probably see it somewhere at the end of this footage, and I was trying to take an objective with a couple teammates, but mostly by myself. I was the only one in the tank. This tank had 3 weapons on it. It had your regular front gun, a machine gun I could switch to, and then a top gunner who another player could occupy. I couldn't kill any players because the main cannon wasn't strong enough to kill a player. It was designed for tanks. And the turning radius on the tank was so slow that players could easily walk faster than my tank could turn. This needs to be fixed a lot. I agree that maybe tanks should be toned down a little bit because they were really, really powerful in Battlefield 1. But at the same time, in Battlefield 5, everyone's going to have the option to run a rocket launcher. Unlike Battlefield 1, where you had the anti-tank gun, you had to lay down, and you had to fire, and it took forever. You have a lot more options to take out tanks in this game. I think that they were fine the way they were. You'll see in the footage, I couldn't get a single kill because I could move my mouse and look at the enemy, but the gun wouldn't turn as fast as I could look. I had to wait for the gun to catch up. And by that time, they were literally running circles around me. I couldn't kill them. I also couldn't collapse a building on him because the tank shell didn't do enough damage. So, as cool as the vehicle is, it's pretty much useless unless I had a top gunner. But the problem with him being a top gunner is he's completely exposed to death, which means he can only kill one, maybe two guys before he gets gunned down himself, especially when me and the tank is unable to support him. I'm not even going to bother really talking about the weapon trees. I think it's a bit weird the way the upgrade system works, but I really don't think it's that big of a deal. A lot of other YouTubers have talked about it. I pretty much agree with what they're saying. Basically, saying it quickly, when you make an upgrade to your weapon, you're committing to that upgrade, so you're not allowed to like edit and change without getting a new weapon, which you can't do in the beta, but I assume you'll be able to do in the full game. And yeah, that should be tweaked. Maybe to at least unlock a level tree and allow us to switch through it at any time. There's no crouch indicator in the game, which combined with the slide mechanic means there's a lot of times that I'm crouched and I don't realize I'm crouched. There's no real way to tell that you're crouched, especially since you can sprint crouch now, which is very cool. I like that. But traditionally in previous Battlefields, if I was laying down, I'd just sprint and I'd stand up. It was a great way to get moving. Well, if I'm crouched and sprinting and I try to slide, I can't slide from the crouched position, so nothing will happen. On the topic of sliding, I really like the slide mechanic. It's a longer slide. The minute you initiate the slide, you are committed to it, so you can't break out of it. And there's a short cooldown of, I think, about 5 seconds in between when you can slide. This prevents people from kind of glitching out like they did in Battlefield 1. The big problem is that the keybind is terrible. You have to double press the crouch button, which often leads to you just kind of bouncing up and down instead of actually sliding. I think they just need to rebind this key, or make it, at least on PC, give us a dedicated key, and maybe on console just let you hold it and you'll slide, and then, you know, you can lay down or something. I don't know. But I really don't like the slide mechanic. I think it's kind of crappy the way it's implemented, but I like the way it works. Combined with this no crouch indicator, there's nothing to tell you. You know, it's not like Titanfall where your gun turns, tilts sideways. It does a little bit, but it tilts so little, it's hard to tell if it's because you're crouching or just because of something that happened that caused your gun to tilt slightly. And there's no like visible indicator on the screen, so a lot of times I'll be sprinting, try to slide into, you know, around a corner, and I'll just kind of bob up and down because I was crouched the whole time. And I couldn't tell that I was crouched. And due to some other mechanics, I didn't have time to check that I was crouched, which I'll get into later. So the last two things I want to talk about, there's no sight zeroing in the game, at least as far as I can tell. When you equip a scope to a gun, it'll say like 100 meters sight zeroing. That's where your scope is accurate to. And you can put bigger scopes on and different scopes on, but it's always the same zeroing, and there's no way to change it like there has been in every other Battlefield game. So basically you're screwed and left with a scope, a 20 times scope that's only good at 100 meters. So now you just got to compensate for the distance. And again, it's not that huge of a deal, but why can't we at least cycle like we could in Battlefield 1? And the last thing I want to get into is map design. And it's not so much that the maps are bad, but the maps, at least the snow map, which the name I can't remember of, is bad for the rest of the mechanics in the game, which I will speak about in a moment. I'm getting into that. That's in the next section of the chat. They built a map that looks cool and plays okay, but not with the way they want the game to play. Rotterdam plays okay. This nighttime snow map does not. It plays very bad. So I guess without further ado, let's get in to the ugly. So the ugly is the things that have to be changed, the things that are game-breaking, the things that I do not want to play when I play this game. These are the things that ruin the game for me. And I'm going to start... A lot of these are tied together to make one big thing. And the issue with all of these is that none of them individually are that bad. But all together they create something that is so frustrating and unfun, it just ruins it for me. I'm not asking for these to be completely reworked. I'm just asking for them to at least be changed and adapted. So the first and foremost, there is no spotting in this game. Players do not appear on the minimap. And there are no reliable hit indicators when you get shot. There is also no scope glint from snipers, and no complex communication wheel to even tell people where things are coming from. As a player, I'm left completely defenseless against anything that happens. I can see gunshots move, but by the time I turn to look at them, I've already been killed. If there's a sniper hanging out way in the back of the map, I have no idea he's there until he headshots me and kills me. In previous battlefields, I could spot his scope glint, a teammate could spot him, or anything like that. That's not available in this game. Well, actually it is, but only one class can do it, and that is the scout class. And they can only spot by using the spotter scope. Do you remember the trench periscope from Battlefield 1? Where you'd look at people and it would automatically spot them? Do you remember how nobody used that gadget because it sucked? Well, they buffed that gadget by nerfing the rest of the game. They took away the ability to spot players at all. Q or left bumper or anything doesn't do anything but bring up a communication wheel anymore. And more importantly, the only way to spot people is by just standing there as a scout and looking through the spotter scope. This is a terrible implementation of spotting, and I understand that they want, to cut down on spotting and things, but they give no way for anybody to know where any other player is. The only other way spotting works is if you're a support and you suppress a guy, he'll get a tiny little, very faint red diamond above his head for as long as he's suppressed, and then it goes away. In the first alpha, which I didn't play, I only saw gameplay of, they had some sort of contextual spotting bug, where when you shot somebody and hit somebody, they'd appear on the minimap, and appear with a spotting over their head. Now, maybe this specifically is too powerful, but some sort of contextual spotting needs to be in this game. Maybe if I shoot someone and he stays in my line of sight, he becomes spotted. Maybe there's just a way to spot someone really quick, or something, or at least have players appear on the minimap again. Sometimes players will appear on the minimap, I don't know. There's also no tugs system. Well, there is, but you have to be like Scout rank 8 to unlock it. And it's just a spotting flare like it was in Battlefield 1, but it works the same way as a tugs system. So there's no way for me to convey to a player that somebody is somewhere without me physically getting on the mic or into game chat and saying, kill that guy on the ridge, or something like that. And even then, he's going to be hard to find, because we're playing on a snow map, right? Everybody's wearing white. And these enemies are just blending into the background. So if I'm trying to kill a sniper who has no scope glint, can't be spotted, and doesn't show up on the minimap, and I've got an LMG, I might be able to fight him, but he's going to snipe me long before I can find and kill him. This isn't something that happens sometimes. This is something that happens all the time in this game. And that alone is a huge problem. This system is made worse by the health system and the time to kill and weapon balancing. I think all the guns in the game feel good. I think they play well. The problem is you die way too fast in this game. Infinitely too fast. Apparently, it's longer than Battlefield 4, but it feels way faster. And maybe it's just because Battlefield 4 had so much stuff going on at any given moment that, killing people and dying didn't feel as bad. In this game, it's awful. A lot of times you'll be pushing an objective, you'll kill one guy, 3 guys will turn to look at you, and you'll be dead. And you'll be dead super quick. On top of this, all weapons are really good at any range. So this means I could just be running across an empty field, and some guy could take random pot shots from across the map at me with an LMG. He hits me once, I lose 75 health, and now I'm screwed. For people who don't know, there's no health regen in this game. There is, but you can only regen a certain amount of health. So I think it's like 50 health. So if I'm at 30 health, I'll regen to 80 and no more until I use a health pack. Which the only way to get a health pack is to be given one by a medic or to pick one up from a health station. This leads to so many situations where you're pinned down forever. I'm in a firefight. I take a lot of damage. I crouch behind this box. I'm at 1 health. I regen to 51 health. I try to make a break for it. I get 1 shot. That's it. Game over. Because I have so little health and no way to defend myself. And it's super problematic. And like I said, it happens so much. It happens all the time. This isn't one of those things where once in a while you get pinned down or once in a while you get shot from across the map. It happens all the time. This is a perfect segue into the next two problems I have. One, DICE made an entire blog post about all these things they were going to make for the beta, all these changes that were coming to the beta. None of those changes are in this build. None. The two most noticeable are more information to players about where they get shot from. Everyone thought this was detailed hit marker indicators. Those aren't in the game at all. And everybody's supposed to spawn with a health pack. That's also not in the game. The only people who spawn with a health pack are the medics. Level caps sum this up really well. This game feels like it's 4 or 5 months out. And if this was a first beta or first alpha, I'd have no issues with it. The problem is the game was supposed to come out a month from now, and is now coming out 2 months from now, and feels like it is not ready at all. Now, I suppose you're saying, well, just get health from a medic. Well, if you play Battlefield at all, you know that, medics healing and reviving is iffy at best. But more importantly, medics suck. Medics are the worst class in this game. They decided to take away long-range weapons from the medic in this game and give them submachine guns. And I understand the thought process on that. Medics are going to be in close quarters combat, healing people and stuff. That's cool. Except they gave them a gun that takes 5 or 6 shots to get a kill and has a fire rate slower than that of assault rifles that take 3 shots to kill. So the medic gets outshot by literally every gun in the game. You'll see in this footage how long it takes the SMG to kill people. So the medic has no range, very little damage, and it's absolutely no fun whatsoever to play medic. So, yes, you can throw people health, but why would you want to play medic when you can play scout and just dominate? Because the scout class is far too powerful because they remain completely uncontested, as I talked about earlier. On top of this, there's no way to give yourself health or ammo. So a medic who heals all his teammates and uses his own health pack now cannot award himself another health pack unless he carries the medic crate around with him, throws it down, and picks up one. And the support can't give themselves ammo either. It just takes the gameplay and dumbs it down indefinitely. As a support player, I'm stuck running around picking up my own ammo. As a medic, I'm stuck running around grabbing my own health. I can't be there on the front lines with my teammate. This system also makes it necessary to camp around objectives because that's the only other place where health and ammo are. So why would I venture out into the field when I can just stay here and snipe everybody? They can't counter me, and I have an infinite supply of ammo at my disposal. My final thought, and I apologize that this video's been a bit long, and this one's unscripted, so I'm not going to be putting it in the game chat category, but I feel like it's very important for me to say this. This game expects too much from its players. I understand that people wanted a more squad-based Battlefield, and I did too, and I'm absolutely okay with that. The problem is this game is trying to fuse hyper-realism, a game like Arma, Squads, Insurgency, and Rainbow Six, with the Battlefield genre, which is a large-scale battlefield. Those things do not go together. In a game like Battlefield, you expect to have squad-based tactics, push up with a tank, but it's still this large, grandiose scale thing. Battlefield 1 was a great version of this. You're pushing up with a tank, and then a dude with a giant LMG rips through your squad as a plane crashes over your head and sets fire to a building. That is the kind of thing that Battlefield has built itself on. Realistic, but action movie realistic, where everything's big and over the top, and you feel like you're the star of your own movie. And it's cool, and it's fun, and you can still do squad-based tactics. Take a game like Arma, where the game is extremely slow. You can spend 35 minutes walking across an empty field with a jeep to be sniped from some guy who's been sitting there for an hour. But that's the type of game you expect out of Arma, to be walking around with your teammates, talking over the mic. You take a couple pot shots at some guy in a distance, he dies. You keep walking. It's this large, very slow-paced, tactical game. The problem is Battlefield 5 is trying to have both of those things. It's trying to have 30 people push an objective where everyone dies in 2 bullets. So then the defense just stands there with a guy on an LMG and just mows down the entire squad. But wait, there was a sniper who sat in his own spawn and picked off a guy coming out of the other spawn, because there's nothing to block that line of sight. In Arma, you can't be sniped from across the map because the map is ginormous. Battlefield has a large map for sure, but by no means are you safe on the other side of the map. You can be sniped and killed. And in a game when you die this fast, why would you play anyone else but Scout? Why not just pick off everybody? There's a reason why these games don't end close, and that's because one team figures out how to get going and just steamrolls the other. It expects a squad to be constantly together, to be running around, throwing health, throwing ammo, picking up resupply, have your squad leader be calling in tanks and resupply dumps, and all these things to be happening on a micro scale. The truth is, you're running around as a squad, your support gets picked off, now your whole squad has to back into a corner and go find some ammo, or wait for your support to spawn, because you're screwed. Your medic, who you have to spend the entire time protecting because he can't protect himself, dies. Now you all just have to wait, because if someone comes up on you, you're dead. You have no health and you have no way to resupply it. If they can just make a few changes, particularly some form of information and spotting system, doesn't have to be like in the old games, but something to tell me where I'm being shot from before I die, this game will be infinitely better and infinitely more fun to play. But right now, it is not. And I keep wanting to go back and play it because it looks and feels so much fun until I get into it, and I can't. I don't feel myself getting any better at the game because I don't feel like I have enough time to play the game. Why, in a game that takes 10 seconds to respawn, can you die to 3 bullets across the map? It doesn't make any sense. And I feel like I spend way more time at the spawn screen than I do in the actual game. I'd like to thank you all for watching and sitting through this. I'm going to try to link Level Cap's video in the description. He talks about a few other things, and I genuinely agree with him. I don't like the time to kill as much as he does. He seems to think it's like good gunplay. I don't think it is. It really comes down to who shot first, and based on some of the SMG balancing, not even that. But overall, I think we generally agree, so I'll try to link his video in the description. Give that a watch, and if you're not somehow already subscribed to him, subscribe to him. I don't know him, I just like him as a YouTuber. Thank you all for watching, everybody. I will see you all next time. Later.